Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Kinney. I'm here with Julie Roginski. This is the Daily Dispatch. We wanted to talk a little bit this morning about something that is affecting the whole country. Donald Trump is sending the red states to invade the blue cities. And Julie?
Look, it's illegal
Yeah.
in the sense that you had a Trump administration official, judge, effectively saying that you can't do this and
Right.
immediately withdraw. But it hasn't deterred them. And
Uh-huh.
guys, we're in a constitutional crisis right now. I just want
Yeah.
people to understand. I think the problem we have with the media is it's chasing its tail. It's going for every shiny object. It's looking at all of these things in a very discreet way, where the reality is it's not discreet. It's actually incredibly connected in
Yeah.
that we have an administration that is openly defying a court order.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big problem. And, you know, if you look at the New York Times homepage right now, which I am, they're talking about tear gas. They're talking about, agents have deployed tear gas with no warning, raided apartments, zip-tied residents for hours. By the way, Trisha McLaughlin, who is the spokeswoman for
Okay, so that's who that was. I saw that. Completely denied the whole thing.
denied the whole thing. There were eyewitnesses. There was videotape, all of it. Denied it. Fake news. I knew Trisha before she went into the administration. She was not the person she is now. She's also had a complete MAGA makeover where she's gone blonde and gone very Fox Newsy with the.
Yeah, that's noticeable.
But what's fascinating about this is that it's happening and it needs to be put in a broader context. And what drives me crazy, Michelle, is that we're looking at all of these things as these little disparate things that happen, right? So something's happening here in Portland, something's happening here in Chicago, and something's happening
like they're
here.
isolated incidents or something, which they're not.
And the reality is, as you said, the federal government and the Republican Party, which has spent decades talking about the 10th Amendment and states' rights and how dare the federal government Bigfoot states, and states should be able to do what they want, and the entire Civil War, post-Civil War ethos of these people has been built upon states' rights, including when Ronald Reagan went down to Mississippi to talk about states' rights, his announcement to Philadelphia, Mississippi, no coincidence. And yet, all of a sudden now, it's okay. The federal government can go ahead and do whatever it wants. And all the same people who said that they wanted a small government that was not going to infringe upon their own rights are now saying, no problem. I laughed because I was driving in Pennsylvania yesterday. And, I live in this kind of area where you have it's sometimes blue, sometimes red, but I'm driving and down the road is a pickup truck, and it's got two massive flags. One is a Trump 2024 flag, and the other is a "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
Jesus
and I'm laughing because I'm like,
don't tread on me. Conflicting ideologies.
Don't tread on me, because the "Don't Tread on Me" flag is, hey, we have to basically arm ourselves with muskets or whatever it is people arm themselves with now, because the big bad government's going to come get us, and don't tread on me because I don't want the government to come get me. The whole point of all of them constantly talking about the Second Amendment and this whole, militia movement is that we need to arm ourselves in case the government comes for us. Well, the government is now coming, but it's not coming for them. It's coming for people they hate. So all of their ideology and all of their intellectual bandwidth that they've lived with their entire lives is completely out the window, because the democratic cities are being invaded by the federal government. Don't tread on me applies to that if you have any kind of consistency in your life.
And I think, I mean, it's becoming painfully transparent every single day. They mean don't tread on me, but we'll tread on you. I mean, that's the thing. They want small government for themselves, but not for the people that they disagree with. And that's the other thing here. Being an East Coast person, somebody who has lived in a major city for the last 20 plus years, you know, we've been on the receiving end of a lot of vitriol, hateful language, messaging saying that we're not real America.
Mhm.
Um, we're not real America. They're the real America. And, we're awful people. And now Stephen Miller obviously saying that anybody who's a Democrat is a terrorist,
Yeah.
and which you just sent me. I'll throw that up. Um, but so I think about this, and it's like people who live in places like Texas or Missouri or any other like state like that, maybe who's never been to New York City. You're serving in the National Guard, and people who serve in the National Guard are people who are serving their country, who are called up, who otherwise have full time jobs. These people are firefighters, they're teachers, they're members of their community, and they're being sent to these places. Now, I don't want to, paint any with any broad brushes here, but who could possibly think of people who live in places like Chicago, New York, Portland, Los Angeles differently because of the way that they have heard them talked about? That, people in New York City are awful and these are horribly crime ridden places. And so they're coming in probably with a different mindset, completely void of reality.
Well, until it created a lot of controversy a few years ago, when you enter the state of Pennsylvania, if you are driving through on Route 78, which is the big, if you live in New York City and you take the Holland Tunnel out of New York City, you end up eventually, if you're going west, on Route 78. And Route 78 takes you through New Jersey, past Bedminster, where Trump has his golf course, past the Delaware River. And once you cross the Delaware, you're in Pennsylvania. And if you were to enter Pennsylvania, either there or on Route 80, which takes you all the way across the country, or if you cross the Delaware south through New Jersey, going in like on the way to Philadelphia, no matter where you crossed it, you would see a welcome sign to Pennsylvania that would say, "America starts here." And I and a lot of other people took a lot of offense at that. And eventually Josh Shapiro, whoever's in charge, took it down because America does not start there. America starts at the Atlantic Ocean, at the Pacific Ocean, at the Rio Grande, and
Right.
at the Canadian border, and Alaska and Hawaii. And to say that America somehow starts west of New York City or east of San Francisco or east of Portland or somehow in the ring around Chicago,
Right.
or outside of Cook County, Illinois, which is where Chicago is crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy, but we have been conditioned
Conditioned is a good word.
to
Yeah.
believe this. And you guys, there are two things I want to talk about that are just bonkers. And I see we have some friends here from across the pond, in Europe, in Britain. We fought with you in World War I. We fought with you in World War II. The 82nd Airborne came in to storm the beaches of Normandy. We did that together on D-Day. If you are from the European continent, the 82nd Airborne liberated the European continent from the horror of the Third Reich, from the Nazis. If you are British, you got on those transports together to cross the English Channel, and the 82nd Airborne was there.
Yep. I think they were dropped first,
They were
actually.
dropped first. And if you've ever been to Pont du Hoc in Normandy, or you've ever been on Omaha Beach or any of the beaches in Normandy, it is sealed with the blood of men who fought in the 82nd Airborne. This on Friday, you may not know this because you would be hard pressed to find this in the New York Times or CNN. This was broken by, and Michelle and I talked about this before. This was broken by the Minnesota
Star Tribune. Yeah.
Tribune, which is a large newspaper, but it certainly doesn't have the gravitas internationally and nationally that the New York Times does, or the Washington Post does, or CNN does, or any of these other networks. Saw a text exchange between an aide to Stephen Miller in an aide to Secretary of Defense / War, Pete Hegseth, talking about deploying the 82nd Airborne to Portland to fight against Americans. On the heels of them on Tuesday, dropping federal agents from Black Hawk helicopters cosplaying Teal Team 6 to throw American citizens, not just American citizens, but primarily American citizens, rip them out of bed, naked, in front of their children, zip tie their children, throw them on the ground, and violate them every which way, steal their household effects, whether they're electronics or their other stuff, ransack their apartments for no reason, for zero reason, just because they're Black and they're brown and they're Americans, cosplaying SEAL Team 6. This is what we did to Osama bin Laden. They rappelled from helicopters onto the roof of his compound or onto the ground, broke in, ransacked his house, killed him, held all of his, wives and whoever, children at gunpoint. They're doing this now to American citizens. And they're talking about deploying the same unit that liberated Europe in World War II.
And I just want to address, because some people in the comments are saying it was the 101st. I'm like, it was the 101st as well, but it was the 82nd and the 101st. But the point being is, like, this is a part of our military apparatus that has been at the forefront of fighting for democracy and freedom for many, 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 many years. And the fact that it's going to be used now against American citizens is, I never thought I'd see the day. As bad as I knew that it was going to be, Julie, and Tara and I talk about this often, is, we say our grandfathers crossed oceans to fight for democracy and against fascism. And I can't imagine what they would be saying if they were here today. I really just can't.
Listen, I just want to, I don't know if you can throw up this quote from Stephen Miller. So this is what Stephen Miller says. The Democrat Party has filled our legal and judicial system with radicals who protect left-wing terrorists. This is a very real and dire crisis for our Republican form of government. I want to make 2 points about this. One, if you notice, he capitalized Republican. If he was talking about our Republican form of government, as in our Democratic / Republican form of government,
small r,
he would have a small r. This is somebody, and Stephen Miller is not an idiot, and he doesn't misspell the way Trump does. He purposely put Republican in caps because he's not talking about Republican small r. He's talking about Republican as in a one-party state. That's not a democracy, my friends, with a small d, not a big D, Democrat, small d, democracy. And I think that's something that nobody picked up on. I did yesterday, but I think it's something that needs to be very much talked about. This is somebody who never considered that we don't need a Republican capital R form of government. The second is, you just had a judge in South Carolina, a judge who almost died, whose husband had to jump out of a window with multiple broken bones. Her son, I believe, is still in the hospital, who almost died. She was only saved because she was walking her dogs on the beach. Her house was burnt to the ground, firebombed.
Yeah. Now here's the thing with that. Yeah. So I know that they're investigating this as an arson, I'm assuming, right? We don't know exactly what happened yet. But the circumstances in front of us are not telling a terribly hopeful story. You know what I mean?
Well, Michelle, we went wall to wall to wall, which we should have after Charlie Kirk got assassinated. Wall to wall. I mean, ABC News blew out ABC.com to go wall to wall with the funeral, / rally. Jimmy Kimmel lost his job for a little bit. Where, again, I'm looking at the New York Times homepage right now. Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah. And it took over 24 hours for even it to hit the internet people, because it happened the day before yesterday, and it was last night that it started to kind of hit the algorithm on Twitter. Because I was like, wait, did this just happen? And I was like, oh my God, it happened yesterday.
Well, look, this is what's on the front page of the Times right now, among other things. Democrats and Republicans trade barbs over government shutdown. Okay, great. Tell me something I don't know. Like, literally, Stephen Miller puts out that tweet, among other tweets he puts out. I didn't send this to you, Michelle, but I'll read you another one that he put out right around the same time. He said, the issues before, I guess I can't spell. The issue before is very simple and clear. That's his bad grammar, not mine. There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is well organized and funded, and it is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorneys general. The only remedy is to use legitimate state power to dismantle terrorism and terror networks. Okay. When Trump signed that executive order to go after Antifa, that's us. That's us. I just want to be clear, because Antifa doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Antifa. There are a bunch of left-wing, very small, disparate groups who sometimes march under an anti-fascism flag.
Yeah, it's kind of like an anarchy thing.
That they got in Germany in the 1930s. But that's not who he's talking about. He's talking about us. We are now the terrorists because we oppose fascism. I am Antifa because I'm anti-fascist. And you should be too. You should not be afraid to say it.
And their obsession with it, their obsession with the word, because they're just assuming and banking on the fact that people don't know what Antifa means, or the root of its meaning. And when I was at LP, I think this was in 2021 or 2022, I don't remember, but for the D-Day anniversary, we made an ad called Antifa.
Yeah.
And it was about how Antifa was the anti-fascists who stormed the beaches. And I remember, oh my God, the right lost their minds. They lost their minds because they couldn't take the fact that we were using this word that they had weaponized and actually get to the root of its meaning and use it for good. Now,
I just want to say this. The commanding general of the 82nd Airborne, based in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, is a man named Major General Brandon Tegmeyer. So he's going to have to make a decision, Michelle, when he receives orders. Because I believe, when you and I talked about this, I believe that this leak was actually a trial balloon to see the reaction.
It always is.
And the reaction's been pretty good in the sense that nobody's paid attention.
Listen, he said this when he was at Quantico last week. He said that he'd noticed that no one's really fighting back this time. He said it. They're noticing it.
Yeah. So Major General Brandon Tegmeyer, who took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States and not to defend the wills and whims of the commander-in-chief, has to make a decision. Does he follow the orders of his commander-in-chief, even though his commander-in-chief is extrajudiciously doing this when they deploy them? Or does he say no? At which point he'll lose his job. I mean, they'll eventually find some flunky to send in the 82nd. So I don't want to pretend that this is not going to happen. It's going to happen.
Sure.
And for people who said it was the 101st Airborne, I just want to be very clear. The 82nd came in first behind enemy lines. San Anglise, I think it's San Anglise-sur-Mer, which is a beautiful little town in Normandy, if you've ever been. Took a lot of casualties to support the D-Day invasion from behind enemy lines. So believe me, the 82nd Airborne, all of those beaches and those fields in Normandy are seeded with the blood of the 82nd Airborne that fought fascism. Like all of us are called upon to do. And Michelle, the part that drives me absolutely up fucking wall, sorry, Dad, is the fact that nobody is asking anybody here
No.
to do that.
No.
Nobody's asking you to leave your country, your family, your
Mhm.
children, your wives, your moms, your jobs, to go to a far off country to liberate people who you've never met in your life.
You know, Julie, it's
We're just asking you to speak up.
yeah. And it's funny you say that because just before we came on here, I was getting off our morning call with me and Tara and our email fundraiser person over at Seneca Project. And we were talking about the No Kings protest that's coming up in another week, and how we were talking to the people at Indivisible and trying, we're going to put a video together because we're trying to get people galvanized to go out and protest in cities across the country, and how there's a lot more reluctance this time because people are afraid, and how are we going to message this to people? And I said, Tara, I said, yet again, because Tara says this, we're not going to be the generation that loses democracy. And I said, right. And I said, again, this is where our grandfathers crossed oceans, both oceans, to fight this shit. We're not being asked to do that. It's funny, we just had this conversation. We are not being asked to do that. We're asked to show up with our lattes and our lawn signs and march in the streets. Especially if you are a white person and an American citizen, you better have your ass out there. Because we have privilege. We have privilege that a lot of people in this country don't have anymore. And it's up to us to make sure that our voices are heard. So
Yeah.
please, and I think it's October 18th. It's a week from Saturday. No Kings protests are happening across the country. And again, we have an opportunity to send a message to Washington.
I have a better suggestion even than the No Kings protests, which are important, but ultimately it's a day and it'll whatever. This Christmas season, shut it down.
Yes.
Shut it down.
How do we do that? Because here's my thing. I've been saying this privately in conversations. I was telling my husband about this the other day. I was like, how do we mobilize this? How do we get the word out?
Create an ad that goes viral or something, but get the word out. Have a conversation with your kids and your grandkids, and your husbands and your wives, and whoever you give Christmas presents to or Hanukkah presents to during the season.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. This year, I'll make you something handmade. Something from the heart.
Santa's going to save America this year.
Santa's going to save America.
Maybe that's part. Maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it. But I mean, it's going to be, Santa is a patriot and Santa is going to save America.
That's a good.
Because
I like that.
Do you need a new iPhone or is the one you have okay?
Listen, most of the time the iPhone we have is okay. Every time I get a new one, I'm like, what? It's the same.
No, but I mean,
I'm just making a joke.
Santa's a safe fascism. No, Santa to fight fascism. Santa against fascism. But I mean, do you need that new sweater? We give stuff. I think about, we do Hanukkah with my son. It's 8 days of presents. I've since day one, I've always said the 8th day has to be charity. You have to pick a charity that you want to give money to, and we'll do that instead of. But every single year, I'm like, oh God, I have to come up with 7 presents, and they're all old. It's not anything huge.
I know we ended up just buying shit that just to buy it.
You buy shit to buy shit. You buy shit to buy
fill a void.
Yeah, make something.
Or spend money on an experience or something. That's where I'm like, buy tickets to something that's, in February.
Yeah, you don't need to give Jeff Bezos money.
Yeah. Suzanne Walsh, support the arts. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Support the arts. There you go. It's, the New York City Ballet, for instance, which I love. And I love, 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 love them, but they're really expensive. It's really expensive to go.
The Nutcracker, it's like I spend.
I know
it's like so much money to just sit in the rafters, and
I might as well study for that money. But spend it on that if you must, right? If you feel like you have to spend hundreds of dollars on something, support the arts. Go if you want to go on vacation. Go to Europe if you can afford it, right? Instead of spending $1,000 on a new iPhone, spend $1,000 on a flight to. It's going to be less than that on a flight to somewhere.
Not to be a dork here, but go to Normandy.
Yeah, I mean, go I mean, it's kind of cold in December, but like,
Well, yeah, but like,
there.
or buy, you know, plan a
Yeah.
trip for later when in the spring or something, because it's honestly, and I know you've been multiple times, I've been one time, I really want to go back. It's one of the most profound experiences of my life
And I
going
have
there.
to give and I have to give people in Normandy credit.
Mhm.
I get that their entire, I don't know about entire, they have a lot of good stuff that they produce there, including butter and dairy and everything else. But
And
a lot
cider.
of the cider, but a lot of their, yeah, their cider is really good. But a lot of their economy is based on tourism, and especially from
Yeah.
America. And
Mhm.
so, for all that anybody thinks that the French are not particularly friendly, you go to,
Oh god, it's
yeah, you
all
go to
you
Normandy,
American flags
American
everywhere.
flags everywhere. They love America.
Mhm.
Trust me, because they understand.
Yeah.
A, they were the first line of, they were the
Yeah.
first people to be liberated. But B, more importantly, I think they understand why it's what's good for their economy.
Mhm.
Last time I was in Normandy, I have to pull up this picture. And Kevin Cox, you're in London, so you'll appreciate this. I was on the beach, and it was early January of 24.
Mm.
And I had taken my son and my cousin, my French cousin, who actually had never been to, the same way I've never been to the Empire State Building. He's never been to the beach.
I've never been either, Julie. We
I
should
know,
go
but the thing was,
together.
you live in a country, like, you never go to the tourist sites. So he'd never been to the beaches of Normandy, because he's like,
He's like, "Why?" You're right. I
I
listen. I get it. I get
like
it.
so we drove up, I rented a car, we drove up, we went to Mont Saint Michel, which is beautiful, and then
Mhm.
we went to Omaha Beach. And when we got to
Mm.
Omaha Beach, it was drizzling, it was wet. We went to the American Cemetery. It was such
Yeah.
poor, we couldn't even my son couldn't even see anything, which is such an awful
Bummer.
thing. It was
Yeah.
so beautiful there. But we get to Omaha Beach, and all of a sudden this rainbow comes out, and I have a
Mm.
photograph of this, and I have to post it. I have to find it all, and I'll post it when I do. And the rainbow went from France all the way over the English Channel, over
Stop.
Omaha Beach. And I don't know if it ended at Dover. I couldn't really see where it ended, but it ended somewhere off the coast of Britain.
Mm.
And I just, somewhere in Kent, I assume. So I just saw that and was like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that is the kind of experience that money
Mhm.
can't buy. Like,
It's
that is the
true.
kind of beauty and symbolism and experience. And now I'm going to start crying almost, that money can't buy. And, if you must buy stuff, go to Etsy and buy it from small, from,
Yes. Yes. I love Etsy.
yeah, or buy it from some local business. But I mean, stop feeding the Jeff Bezoses of the world
Mhm.
and all of these
And
other.
Tim Cook. I mean, look what Apple just pulled an app from their app store that warned people about ICE raids.
Yeah, yeah. Go and work at a soup kitchen. Like, you want to give back, do that.
Yeah, that's real. That's a humbling
For this
experience.
morning, I did that a couple of years ago. I went up to the Bronx, to this, you know, um, kind of not so great place in the Bronx, and
Mm.
we just, on Thanksgiving, we just served
Yeah.
meals, and it was, I think my son was 9 or something. We did that. Like, he still talks about that as a
Yeah,
memory.
I bet. I bet.
So
I bet.
yeah, donate in someone's name. I love that idea, E. Schwartz. Donate in someone's name to nonprofits Trump said he's coming for. You know what a great nonprofit is to donate, in addition to Lift Our Voices, the one that I run, but a great nonprofit to donate to. It's called HIAS, HIAS. These are the people who always helped refugees. It started off as, I think,
Mm,
it stands for the Hebrew something refugee organization. They helped us when we were refugees when we came here, but
mm,
now obviously they're not helping Jewish refugees anymore because there's no need for that. Now they're
right.
shifting their attention to helping refugees from all over the world. And Trump is coming for them so hard, and all they're trying to do
Oh, bet. Yeah.
is help people who are coming here, who are fleeing for their lives, either from Venezuela and that whole part of the world, from
Mhm.
Syria back, when that civil war was happening,
Yeah.
Russia,
Aleppo.
from Russia, I mean, all over the world.
Mhm.
They're amazing. And so if you can give them a few bucks, Doctors Without Borders, I mean, there's
Doctors Without Borders for sure. Yes.
so many wonderful Lift Our Voices, so many
Well,
wonderful.
and think about too, it's like USAID, like this with this soft power, you know, infrastructure that we had all around the world helping people no longer exists. So there's there's this void to fill from people And, I don't know who's picking up the pieces, honestly. I don't even know that anyone could. But, there's a lot of people in need and they need us. And
Yeah,
I
I
can
just
think of
dropped
a lot.
it in the chat. I mean, this
Oh,
organization
okay.
is
I'm
great.
glad that you read. I didn't know about that. I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, and Trump is obviously coming for all
Well,
of these.
and they've said this, Julie. I mean, I think it was he said something about the nonprofits and the organizations again with the Democrats saying that these nonprofits and organizations are aiding and abetting terrorists, right? They're signaling they're going to be going after the 501c3s and the 501c4s.
I just, I'm just very committed to us taking a stand in ways that each of us can, right? Not everybody can afford to
No,
give
of course.
anything.
Yeah.
If you can afford to spend a few bucks on a Christmas gift, spend it on giving some money, $25 to a charity
Mhm.
of your choice that
Mhm.
stands for the values that you represent.
Yeah.
Um, if you can march on the 18th, go march. Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
I know I'm going, and that shit
Yeah,
always gives me agita.
yeah.
Always.
Don't be scared. They open up tear gas on you, they open up tear gas on you. Like, I hate to be, like,
I
cavalier about
know.
it, but, like, okay, then
Listen, I mean, this sounds like very intense, but like, you know, well, the last one that I went to, when was that? June, I think. I can't. I have no idea when was that in Philadelphia. Um, I was nervous, but it ended up being like so lovely and so peaceful. This we're living in a little bit of a different time now, but things have moved very quickly. But there's things that you can do to protect yourself, right? Like if you
yeah.
want to pack a little bag with goggles and a mask and like something bike helmet. Like I know that sounds like really intense, but if like, things were to go south wherever you are, whatever city you're in, like there are ways to protect yourself. And also, here's my advice because I've been to so many marches in the last 10 years is to stay on the peripheral and like just stay on the outside. Not on the inside of the march and the streets. So that way, if you feel nervous or something, you can just kind of scoot out to the side.
Yeah. And E. Schwartz, great idea. Go to Germany or Poland and do tours of remembrance and document the post. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because if you've ever been to Auschwitz, it will change
Mm,
you and you will never be the
that's on
same
my
again.
list too. That's on my list
You
too.
will never ever be the same again. I've been there and it is even worse than your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
It is truly a life shaking,
Yeah.
life shattering event because you could not believe that humans would do this to other
Mm.
humans. And
And
then
that's,
and
yeah.
that we're on the road.
Hmm.
It used to be Jews and now it's black and brown people who they're pulling out of their houses in the same way that you thought. I mean, I see this all the time. Like if you ever wondered what Germans should have done in 1933, do it
You're
now.
doing it now.
Do it now. Because what history has shown is that the vast majority of people will just go along. That's why I keep saying read People magazine to see where it's jumped into the popular culture.
Hmm.
Because, it's only after it jumps into popular culture, like People, which is the number one read, entertainment magazine and
Hmm.
people
Right. Right. You mentioned that. Yeah.
it's only then that you understand that it's actually being read by people who don't pay attention to this with the same laser focus that the rest of us do. We're all sitting here, I keep saying like bloodhounds reading
Yeah.
everything about Trump, sussing out everything about what's happening. Most people just, they don't. And when they need a break at the nail salon, or they need a break when they get home from work, or they're at work and they need a 5-minute brain break, they'll go
Yeah.
to people.com and they'll see what's happening with the British royal family. Like everybody loves the gossip about who's, fighting with whom in the British royal family. Or, Taylor Swift's stupid Easter eggs, which I'm not a Taylor Swift person, so I don't care. But the reality is I did go to people.com today just to see, and it's like 8 Taylor Swift stories.
Of
But
course.
in the midst of those Taylor Swift stories, sometimes, not every day, they have stories about what this administration is doing.
Hmm.
When they do, I get very happy because what that means is that normal people, not like
Yeah.
all,
It's permeating.
it's permeating, and that's important. It's really, really, really important. And I think it's crazy. It's
I
crazy.
know. Well, and to your point too, it's hard to imagine that humans are capable of such atrocities and horrors. I oh, my mother-in-law called me a couple weekends ago. I think it was after Brian Kilmeade said the thing about just kill them, just kill the homeless people. And she was just about in tears, so upset. She's like, how could anyone say this? And I said, listen, I think we all need to remember that in the 30s and 40s in Germany, there was an industrialized extermination effort by the German government to exterminate 10 million people, 6 of which were Jews. And this was able to happen without the technology and without the infrastructure that governments have now, and surveillance. And so we have a lot more dangerous mechanisms now than we did then. And it has been said that Stephen Miller thinks that the United States of America should only be 100 million people and that they all should be white. Stephen Miller is running the United States of America right now.
It is, and that's the other thing I want to say. And I actually have a Substack coming out on this tomorrow, but I'll preview it for you today. You should read People Magazine and you should read Stephen Miller's tweets. Those are your 2 reading assignments every morning and throughout the day, because you should see what's permeating out into the real world, and you should also see who is running the country. He's not tweeting about the government shutdown, which means that they don't care about the government shutdown. That's all the press keeps writing about. But the press is writing on parallel tracks to what this administration is doing. This administration cares about deploying ICE, Homeland Security, other agencies within Homeland Security to go after American cities. And the press, because they're based in Washington, is writing about what's happening on the Hill. Well, what's happening on the Hill is important, but it's not what is driving this administration right now. And I think that is really, really, really important. There's somebody here who said you went to, yes, Teresa, you said you cried instantly looking at a violin of a Jewish person who survived on display at the musical Trumpet Museum here in Northeast Phoenix in Arizona. I couldn't tour a concentration camp. You must, even if you can't. And I think that's a really important point. You must, because you have to imagine what is possible, even though it is so unfathomable and unimaginable. Like, if it were up to me, everybody would be required to tour a concentration camp. Sadly, that would take a lot of money. But every kid in their junior year or senior year of high school would be required to fly to Auschwitz. Like, I understand.
Well, and that's the difference between us and Germany too, right? Is like Germany has had a reckoning with what they've done. You know, they look at what they've done, right? You know, they stare it right in the face.
Yeah.
And they talk about it and how awful it was. But in the United States, like, we don't want to talk about the things that we've done here. We don't want to talk about the fact that we ripped people from their homes in Africa on slave ships and chained them, and for generations enslaved Black people in this country and tortured them and split up their families for hundreds of years. And we don't want to talk about what we did to the indigenous and Native American people. What was it, like Wounded Knee or something? I kind of got half the story the other day with Pete Hegseth talking about, we're going to tell the real story of Wounded Knee, and basically saying that we're not going to tell the real story. And like, again, we slaughtered these people. And again, like, we have to face this. Do we need to sit around and like punish ourselves all day long? No, like, of course not. Like, we need to like live in harmony and move forward, but we have to move forward looking backwards and acknowledging the atrocities that this government and this country have committed.
You know, I don't understand why it's so hard to acknowledge what happened and then say, okay,
do this, right?
I'm not responsible for slavery. I did not enslave anybody. I don't feel guilt for having enslaved anybody, because I never did. But surely we can accept the fact that white people enslaved Black people in this country, and it was wrong, and we should talk about it, and we should acknowledge that is America's original sin, as we always say.
Yeah.
Or some of us always say. It doesn't mean that I need to self-flagellate about it. It just means that there's a reason why the average Black family has, I forgot what it is, 1/10, 1/100th, I forgot, some fraction of the wealth in this country
Mhm.
that white people have.
Exactly. And
Because
that's the other part too, is like
that's it.
acknowledging that as a white person, especially like, look at my family. A lot of my family has been here for a very long time and we're like white people. And, I've benefited from that circumstance.
Well,
And
look,
just acknowledging that.
I'll be very clear. Nobody is yet landing Blackhawks on my affluent neighborhood
Mhm.
building in New York City.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear, it's going to happen. It'll come because they always start with the most marginalized, then they move on to everybody else. So, by that point, who's going to quote the famous Reinhold Niebuhr line, who's going to speak up for me? Nobody,
Right.
because everybody will be gone who could speak up for me. But the truth of the matter is, they're purposely starting out with the most marginalized. They went to the
Of
south side
course.
of Chicago. For people who don't know, Chicago, the South Side is not the affluent. I mean, that's becoming a lot more gentrified, but it's not the most affluent part of
Yeah.
Chicago. And the people in that building were mostly Black and brown.
And this is why those communities also have been marginalized through infrastructure, through safety, through policing. I mean, these parts of especially major cities get left behind every which way. And it's because they don't have the representation that they deserve. And they don't, a lot of times, don't have the resources to fight back. And we've seen this in Detroit. Every city. And now it's happening on this scale in a way that we cannot look away. We cannot look away. We have to look it dead in the eye.
Yeah, and so understand what's happening right now. They are extrajudiciously violating orders. They are violating everything that their party has stood for with respect to small government, small federal government, 10th Amendment. The reason we have a well-ordered militia, the reason we should have guns is to fight against government tyranny. Don't tread on me. Where's the
Right.
flag?
I'm like, where are the gun people? Where are the gun people?
Signing up to work for ICE.
Well, this is the other thing. And I in the time that I had with Tara chatting this morning is like knowing that I know someone who was a corrections officer and was forced out of their job and then asked to come back because they're so understaffed, but had to pass a psych eval and didn't pass the psych eval, and so therefore couldn't get their job back. Most of these jobs require psych evals. ICE is not requiring that. So you've got these people, thugs, and a $50,000 signing bonus, making more money than most people do in this country, to round up immigrants and brown people with no due process, no warrants half the time. I saw something today that like they in Chicago, they took two people off of a construction site, cuffed them, and then dropped them off 2 blocks down the road because they realized that they were American citizens and just basically kicked them out of their truck.
Yep.
Like that's what's happening here. These people are out of control. And then you have the feds backing them up. And like that's the whole excuse here, is that they're sending in the National Guard to back up ICE and DHS, which is insane. This is the Gestapo. This is Trump's Gestapo. And they're out of control. And not mentally well. That's for sure.
I was with a German friend yesterday. She's older. She and I go for walks sometimes out in the country, and her father fought in World War II on the German side because he had to. He was drafted.
You're all right. Right.
And then spent years in a camp in Russia. Somehow in the Soviet Union, somehow was able to be exchanged. I don't know how they got him out, but eventually, obviously, he came home. And she said he never talked about the war, but he was a profoundly broken man.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a generation of people who are going to be profoundly broken people because of what this government is doing. Much like, by the way, much like in Israel, there's going to be a profoundly generation of profoundly broken people, not just because of what happened on October 7th, which we're coming up on the anniversary of, because what is being done in their name now to children in Gaza.
Right.
And what is being done in the name of the United States government is atrocious.
In our name, and we're paying for it too. That's the other thing. We're paying for it.
And I want to be very clear. And the reason we started May Day and the reason we're starting this morning show, Michelle and I, and Frederick Pogue on Monday mornings, which is going to be not the stream of consciousness, but an actual morning show.
Yeah.
We'll still continue doing these daily dispatches, but this is going to be a real
The
morning.
conversations are important too. Yeah.
Conversations are important. It's going to be a new show. Is to say that we need some accountability and documentation as it is happening right now, and it's brought to it as it is happening right now. I mean, Michelle, yesterday, Jake Tapper.
Oh my God.
Jake Tapper of CNN had an interview with Trump over text.
Over text message, meaning that was not Trump responding.
Billing it as an exclusive. Now,
I can't.
I worked at Fox when Trump would come on Fox and Friends via phone, and I thought that was disgraceful that he wouldn't even bother coming into the office. He would just call in, and they allowed him to do that. Now we're not even demanding that. I mean, I could have AI have an interview with you on the phone. I mean, via text. I don't have to even be there. Nobody human has to even be there.
It's probably Brad Parscale grabbed his phone.
It was Brad Parscale. That's exactly who it was. It was Brad Parscale doing it, who was his tech guy. And if you want to read about Brad Parscale and all the shit that he was up to, please read my column today with Olga Latman, a Substack, because it'll blow your head off. But, you know, I say all of this to say that this is where our media is right now. They're touting as an exclusive. Now, this is the same Jake Tapper who wrote an entire book about how Joe Biden was on his last legs and everybody in his administration knew it. He wanted to talk about it. Everybody was covering for him. Where's the book now, Jake? And how he, Jake Tapper, should have known better and should have spoken up sooner, but he didn't because of access. And therefore, you know, how inexcusable that was. And the press has a lot of responsibility for this. They really should take a look in the mirror. It's happening again, but even worse. Could you imagine if Joe Biden ever said, hey,
oh
Jake,
my God,
I'm not going to have an interview with you in person or on the phone or online or in any way. I'm going to text the answers to you. You submit your questions and I will text you the answers.
The bar is so low. The bar is so low with Donald Trump that he gets away with literal murder. I mean, when he said I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose any votes, he was absolutely right.
Or the
he
media
gets away with everything.
And the media allows him to do it.
And I just want to play this because yesterday, first of all, he was almost an hour late or more, showing up to Norfolk, Virginia for the 250th anniversary of the Navy. And he said a bunch of crazy shit. And this was one of the things that he said. Hold on.
But we have to take care of this little gnat that's on our shoulder called the Democrats. They want to give all of our money to illegal aliens that pour into the country. And, you know, I have a bigger heart than they do. But the problem is when you do that, they come in by the millions. Everybody wants that, so you can't do it.
So first he calls Democrats gnats to the United States Navy. I can't even begin to, I mean, we all know how like seriously inappropriate that is. But I want to play the other clip here about him talking about bin Laden. You saw this, right?
Oh, yeah.
I need to find this here. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Hold on. Because this was such gibberish. I was like, this man he has dementia. I feel like there's something going on here. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what he's doing. Here we go.
To be politically correct anymore. And history will never forget that it was the SEALs who stormed the compound at Osama bin Laden and put a bullet in his head. Remember that? And please remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete? In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center, so got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me. You know the old story. They don't give you credit, just take it yourself. And it was the U.S. Navy that dumped his wretched corpse off the decks of the Carl Vinson to sink into the dark abyss. I want to be
What? So he's saying that nobody in the year before, so in the year 2000, after Osama bin Laden blew up ships and killed people in Africa and other places, he's saying that nobody was talking about Osama bin Laden. I was there on 9/11. I think I told you this, Michelle. I was evacuated with the United States Senate, and I was sitting in rooms that I should never have had the clearance to sit in, but it was a very, very, very crazy
Yeah,
day.
I mean, yeah.
And
Don't have time to be
and
thinking
let me
about
tell you
that.
something. Around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. that morning, I can't remember the exact time, when the head of the Capitol Police came in to brief those senators, and I was in that room, and he said, "We are pretty certain we know who did this, and I think we all know, we could all agree who did this." Everybody in that room, including me, knew that he was talking about Osama bin Laden. Oh, he wasn't a stranger to this country. He wasn't some strange threat.
No.
And by
Everybody
the
knew who he
way,
was.
where's that book? He doesn't remember the name of that book.
Doesn't remember the name of a book that apparently did he write it? First
What
of
was
all,
the book in 2000? Can somebody look it up? What was the book that he wrote in 2000? Can somebody look through that book and see if he mentioned bin Laden?
also he's like, I told Pete. I'm like, what?
Pete is like
Like, Pete Hegseth in 2000 was in college at the same time as I was. And I'm like, and then if he's talking about that night we put a bullet through his head. Okay, let's talk about when SEAL Team 6 went in to get bin Laden, what was happening that night. It was the same night as the White House Correspondents' Dinner on April 30th or May 1st, right? May 1st, 2011, when they were making fun of Donald Trump. I mean, under President Obama.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, do you even know?
Who got bin Laden, by the way? Who
Right.
got bin Laden? Who gave the order?
Who gave the order? And here's the other thing too, is just I'm the day before he went to Quantico to give that crazy speech, he was sitting at the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and some reporter asked him, about the speech he was going to be giving tomorrow in front of all the generals from all across the world. And he didn't know what they were talking about. He didn't know what the reporter was asking. He thought that they meant the generals from other countries, not our country. Didn't seem to really understand what was happening. And like, this is yet again another example of Donald Trump not knowing what the hell is going on. He is not well. Now, he's never really been well, as we can all agree here, that he's a psychopath, but coherent. He doesn't know what's going on. And because of that, he's being propped up like Weekend at Bernie's by the cabinet, by an unelected Stephen Miller, deputy chief of staff, and Russ Vogt, the two of them.
So he did write a book in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I will give credit. The name of it, in case he wants to be reminded, is called The America We Deserve. He didn't actually write it himself. It was co-written with some guy named Dave Shiflett.
Of course.
He did mention in that book, I'm no fan of Saddam Hussein, but we should be focused on terrorists who want to destroy us like Osama bin Laden. One day we're going to look back and wonder why we didn't stop him before he struck. Okay. Credit where credit is due. However, nobody else was focusing on Osama bin Laden. Maybe the Bush administration was not focusing on Osama bin Laden. But I can tell you, Osama bin Laden, as I said, had already struck in Kenya and Tanzania. He'd already
U.S. Cole. I mean,
yeah.
I welcome anybody to go read.
It was on the FBI's most wanted list. I mean, what's he talking about? Nobody was talking about.
Looming Tower. Go watch Looming Tower, which talks about the FBI and the CIA and the miscommunication between the two agencies about this, and how Ali Soufan, who worked for the FBI for many, many, many years, was on this guy's ass.
So,
and still talks about it to this day.
From my perspective, Jake Tapper needs to maybe take a seat.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the meeting needs to take a seat. You'll see no mention, again, you'll see no mention of any of this on the front page of the New York Times.
Nope.
And now CBS has been taken over by Barry Weiss.
Oh my God, I can't. It's just R.I.P. CBS. R.I.P.
Yeah, who put out a 6-point or 10-point bulletin. Or
I saw that. I was like, equal attention and criticism given to both parties.
Well, I'm sorry. If one party is saying the Earth is round, and one party is saying the Earth is flat, We do not give equal criticism to both parties. There are some things in life that are still factual. Like a geometric proof, there are givens in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Given. Given. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. The Pythagorean theorem. We don't have to debate it. That is a given. And whatever other formulas you do in a geometric proof that derive from that given, derive from that given. Given the earth is round. We do not argue and say that one side says the earth is round and one side says the earth is flat, and let's have a debate about that.
Yep.
And my heart breaks because I know people at 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
And they are wonderful people, and they are true. They're a gem. They are the
I
set.
hope they all walk. I
They
hope
are
they
the
all walk.
best. They are the best of journalism. And I am positive that at this point, I have no inside information, so I'm totally projecting here, but I'm positive that at this precise moment, you have people who are desperately trying to figure out how they continue to do the job that they have been doing since the 60s. I don't remember when 60 Minutes started,
Yeah.
but certainly for more than 50 years, to bring real news to the American public. It is being run by a woman named Tanya Simon. She's the new executive, editor. I forgot her title, but she's the person in charge of 60 Minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Her father was Bob Simon. She grew up within 60 Minutes. I think that is the only kind of journalism jobs that she's had since the day that she was, started working. This woman is steeped in the finest tradition of 60 Minutes, not just because of herself, but because of her father.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, what would Bob Simon have done? What would Mike Wallace have done?
Right.
I can't imagine that Leslie Stahl is going to stick around for this shit,
Right.
right? Or Scott Pelley. I hope not. If in fact they're forced to do this, if they're forced to have one story that talks about whatever they're going to some expose on what this administration is doing, and then another story to balance that out, where it's going to be like, well, on the other hand, dear leader is doing a great job.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the last things that I want to show here is a clip from yesterday of Donald Trump, who is a multiple time draft dodger, whose doctor made up a lie saying he has bone spurs so that he didn't have to serve, and some likely working class young man had to go in his place. He said this about Vietnam. Let me just put this up.
Delta. Problem with Vietnam, we stopped fighting to win. We would have won easy. We would have won Afghanistan easy. Would have won every war easy. But we got politically correct. Let's take it easy. We're not politically correct anymore, just so you understand. We win. Now we win.
We would have won Vietnam easy. I don't know how any veteran can look at him and be like, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, the guy who
don't
said
get it. I don't get it.
avoiding AIDS in the 80s was his own personal in Vietnam because he was
Yes.
so promiscuous that it's a miracle that he didn't get AIDS.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I do not understand how anybody looks at this guy and thinks, I'm proud that he's my leader. I'm proud that he is the commander in chief. I'm so proud that I get to take orders from this guy. Or Vietnam was a poor man's and working man's war, where the working class young men of this country were sent to go fight an unjust war against their will. And rich kids like Donald Trump didn't have to go. But 60 years later can stand at a podium in front of the United States Navy and run his mouth saying that he could have won it. He could have won it easy. What a slap in the face to this country and to the people who have served it and died in its name. It's beyond my comprehension, Julie. It's just, I will never, ever understand. I will never understand.
Well, we're going to continue talking about it, and we're going to continue raising the alarm. And I think, unlike our friends over on cable news or in other entities. We're going to talk about it with a clear-eyed purpose. And we're not going to just sit here and say, again, the earth is flat and the earth is round, and let's have a fair and balanced debate about it. And we're not going to platform people on this network that don't accept certain givens in life. I have no problem having political debates with people. My entire career has been having debates with, some very well-reasoned people with whom I disagree, and some demagogues and pathological liars like Scott Jennings with whom I disagree. But the difference is that we're going to platform the first, but we're not going to platform the second.
No. And Scott Jennings, by the way, who was challenged on Abby Phillips' show, I think it was on Friday, challenged about, he was asked, do you think children should be put in zip ties and left in the street? And he couldn't answer.
I've met Scott. I don't want to get personal, but I've met Scott Jennings' children. And I truly hope that it never happens to them. Yeah. But one day they may be visiting the wrong friend.
Yep.
And it might.
Yep. And the last thing that I want to leave people on, because it's actually kind of funny, and I think we all need to laugh for a second. I do want everyone to hear Melania Trump greeting the U.S. Navy. Because it's honestly great.
Hoo-yah, Navy! Hoo-yah, Navy! Hoo-yah, Navy!
You know what I said, Michelle, yesterday? You saw me on that text when we sent it around with her Eastern European accent.
Hoo-yah, Navy!
If I said that in front of my parents, they would wash my mouth out with soap, because that literally in Russian is "go fuck yourself, Navy." And with her Eastern European accent and the fact that she speaks probably better Russian than English because she had to learn it as a kid, she knows exactly what she was saying.
I just want to play it one more time.
Hoo-yah, Navy! Hoo-yah, Navy!
Trying to keep a straight face, these people.
Hoo-yah, Navy!
I can't.
What's her deal? She's been hanging around a lot more recently than before. I think there must have been a post-nup agreement renegotiated again.
Yeah, she's probably getting extra money.
All right, my friends, we've been at it for about an hour. It is so wonderful having you here with us. We will be back probably tomorrow.
Tomorrow. And if anything, we do have over it.
Today.
What's that?
If anything breaks, we'll be back later today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And make sure to tune in on Wednesday at noon for Over It. It is Julie and our colleague Tara Setmayer, and also JoJo from DERS joins us. And it looks like, according to the group chat, we're going to have Amy McGrath with us on Wednesday, awesome. Who just announced her Senate race today. So in Kentucky. So please join us for that.
She might be running against Scott Jennings. Well, he's never going to get that nomination, so it doesn't matter. But
no, of course not. Selling his soul for absolutely no reason. So tune in and please like and subscribe to Mayday. And you'll be the first to know when we go live and when we have new content coming. And please find us on Apple and Spotify podcasts. Over it, we are publishing there, and we're going to hopefully start publishing Daily Dispatch there as well. So you can catch up with us on the podcast if you're in commute or otherwise in transit. And we'll see everybody soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.